Welcome back, everybody. I hope all is well. And today our journey continues for our pursuit of Excel VBA programming knowledge. Today we focus in on creating menu-driven workbooks. So we're getting pretty good at the VBA programming back end, stuff that you don't see, the hidden material. But now we're going to work on the front end, how it looks from a professional point of view. And we're going to do everything through buttons and menus. So we're not going to actually go in and touch any cells at all. Just to give you an idea of the kind of thing we're going to be doing after we introduce ourselves, we can press a button that takes us to an information page. And then from there, we can return back to the main screen. Then we can do data entry. It brings us to this screen where we type some information and go through a macro we're quite familiar with. And once we're finished with this macro, we can return back. We can actually even press this little thing and it does a print preview. And actually we can print out that page if we need to. Okay, and then of course, again, return back to our screen. We can do a save, and then of course we can exit. This is the kind of thing I want to learn today, this menu-driven workbook to make it look as professional as possible. So in the resources for today's lecture, we've got a number of things. We've got some images that we're going to throw in to our sort of professional-looking spreadsheet today. We've got this file called food costs, which we are going to convert into something similar to this in a second. So this is how we're going to learn. This is going to be sort of our finished product for our simple example. So we're going to create a simple little menu system for a food tracker. And when we press these buttons, we're going to go to certain pages, and then we're obviously going to get returned back. Okay, so this is what we're going to put together ourselves right now. All right, so please load in the food costs spreadsheet, and we'll use that to create the menu system you just saw a few seconds ago. So right off the bat, let's create a new worksheet. And this worksheet we will rename main, and we'll slide it to the front. Now you might have noticed on those menu systems we were just looking at, there wasn't any grid lines. So why don't we do that first? And that's in page layout, and we'll just uncheck grid line view. Okay, and those are gone for now. And now we're ready to put in some titles and things like that. Actually, let's highlight everything first, and we will change the background color. Okay, nothing spectacular. We'll fill it in with some other color. It'll be a sort of a gentle background color. All right, let's add a little title and things like that. It doesn't matter exactly where we put it, just to get the idea of food cost menu. All right, let's just bold that, highlight it across and put it in bold. Then we'll go underneath and we'll add a couple of buttons. So that's in the developer ribbon, and we'll press insert, and we'll add a button to go to the dinner page. We'll add a button to go to the beverages page, and our third button we'll add to go to the desserts page. Okay, these are some pretty ugly buttons. Let's fix them up a little bit, make them sort of close to the same sizes. Then we'll press this one and go to properties, and each one of these buttons, it doesn't matter exactly what you call them, but I'll call this one BTN dinners, and I want actual word dinners to appear there, so that's in the caption. So we'll rub this out and put dinners. That's good enough. Now we'll go to this one. This one we'll call BTN beverages, and we will change the caption on that one to beverages. And the last one we will call BTN desserts, and we will change the caption to desserts. Now what you would need to do eventually, after we press these buttons, I want to have it go to this particular page. And on this page, I'd like a button or something to go back to the main page. But on this one, just to be different, what I'm going to do is not have a button, but I'm going to go to insert, and I'm going to go to pictures, and I'm going to have to work my way down to where I've stored pictures on my computer. And you have them in the resources for today's lecture. So we'll go in here and work my way down to demos, and I have a back button. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and you can put those on all the pages. Now we have to give this button some intelligence, so we'll right click on it, and we'll go to link, and we'll say place in this document, and I want it to go back to main when I click on it. And let's see if it actually works. It goes back to main. Next, we program these. These ones involve VBA. Okay, let's do the dinners one. So we'll double click on dinners, and we're going to go into the underground. Button dinners, click, and it's just one line. We're going to type in application dot, and then workbooks bracket 1, always taking the lazy way out, dot, and this one I won't take the lazy way out. I will actually type in the name of the sheet that I want to go to. I want to go to dinners dot activate. Okay, that's how you make it appear and stay active. All right, let's try it out. So I'm still in sort of design mode, so to speak. So we're going to have to turn that off, and then if I press this, yes, it goes to that sheet, and when I press back, it returns. Okay, so that's how you can start to implement a fully menu-driven workbook. Why don't we throw in an image here just to make it look nice? Okay, we'll go back to Insert and Pictures, and this is a food thing. I'll add that picture of the spaghetti, and I found a transparent image on the internet, and I'll just throw it up here. Okay, so there you have now a fully menu-driven workbook. Now I haven't actually put in the codes for these ones, but at least it gives you the idea. These ones would be exactly the same. Okay, you'd go to the beverages one, put a little arrow there to return, same with desserts. Main menu, these would be activated the same way, except obviously you'd go to the different worksheets, and there you have it. Now, just for completeness, remember now, this is sort of a menu-driven one now, so when you go to save it, wherever you're going to save it, okay, we'll call this one new, and it's not an Excel workbook anymore, it's a macro-enabled workbook, and we can press save, and we've done our first part. Okay, now I'm going to show you some more sophisticated examples. Now here's our showpiece example, so to speak, today. It's called Party Button. We'll load it up. And you've seen me run it already, so I'm not going to go through that again. Let's get into the nitty-gritty and show you how all the code was written for it. So let me just give you the lay of the land, so to speak. So here's our main screen where we have our buttons that are going to activate, either going to one of these two worksheets or save and exit. You already know about this worksheet, and it's activating this, so I'm just going to go through this very quickly. You know about this page? No, this is new. This is the info menu. We've got two buttons that are going to just pop up little messages. And so actually, let's start here, because this is the simplest part to explain. All right, let's go to developer. Okay, we'll get ourselves in design mode, and looks like we're locked up here, so we'll unprotect, and now we're ready to go. So these are simple buttons that we took from the insert, okay, ActiveX buttons, and the code for them aren't that bad. The first one is just a straight message box where we type in my name and the course. You'll notice here a little extra thing that I've not done with you guys from before. I've attached my name, and then I add this thing called a VB new line, which makes the next thing go underneath my name as opposed to having it side by side. You know how usually when you concatenate it attaches it right beside it? Well, now I'm attaching something that forces the computer to go down a line. So that's kind of different. That's neat. The other one, the description, same thing as a message box, and it has also that VB new line, which allows the next line to go underneath the first line. And actually, just for fun, why don't we just try that out again just to make sure you understand what's happening. So when I press identification, there's my name at the top line. Then there's that VB new line, which forces me to go down to the next line. Description, same thing. I write a little bit of this on top and then a little bit more underneath. And then I return. Now this button is not any special ActiveX control. It's just a little image I found on the internet, and it's a hyperlink back to the main screen. Okay, let's pick on these two next, because these are the second easiest things to explain. And we'll go to exit first, and let's make sure I'm in design mode first. Exit's pretty easy. It's one single command. Application, quit, and that's how you exit out of the whole program. Now, before you exit out of the whole program, it'd be nice to save. So let me show you how to save. Double click on this. So we're pointing to sheet main as a workbook. So I want to save the whole workbook, not just one sheet. So if we have multiple sheets, I want to save everything, right? So you declare sheet main as a workbook, and then you point to it. All right, so we're pointing to partybutton.xlsm. That's a macro-enabled workbook. And then it's pretty easy. you called your workbook sheet main dot save as. That's the special command, and then you give it a name. Okay, usually you try to make it match the same one, or you can make it something new. Okay, we're in the home stretch. So now when I press data entry, I want two things to happen. I want to put myself on the party page, and then I want to execute a macro that I've already pre-written. Okay, so we're not going to show you the whole code again and explain every single line in that macro, but I want to make sure you realize that there's a macro that does exist. So in Visual Basic, and it's a module obviously, we wrote in a previous lecture this sub-procedure called Party Planner, which goes through, declares all kinds of variables, dummy proofs the entry of all the information. Remember, you did this before, so just realize that exists, and we're going to call it in a few seconds. Okay, so let's see this button in action. So basically, this button does a single thing. It says, put me on the worksheet called Party, and activate that worksheet. So put me there. So then you go, okay, great. I put myself on that worksheet. Then what? Well, when you're on this worksheet, there is an actual command called worksheet activate. Let's take a look at how it works. So when I'm on the party worksheet, here it is right here. Worksheet activate. So if you double clicked on this sheet, you would see general and worksheet, and there it is, activate, and all you do there now is say call Party Planner. Now after I did this, I just realized there is another way to do this without having to put it in the activate. You could simply, and I'll put myself back to the main, right in here, after you activate the page, call Party Planner right here, which actually is just as easy, but either way will work. Okay, I'll just comment that out for now so that we don't say it twice. Okay, but that's the way you would do it. Another thing you should know, in Party Planner we have this little button down here, which I will activate by unprotecting the sheet, and this is how you print. So we declare the sheet party as a worksheet, and then we point to the party sheet, and the way you print it out is you say sheet party.print preview. Now print preview is the safest way because you can display your screen, show the person what it's going to look like, and then they can decide whether to actually print it out or just preview it, and then they can exit. Let me show you how that works if you don't remember. So first of all, I'll go back to developer and get out of design mode. So when I press this, there is our print preview look of it, and I could actually print it if I wanted to, or just close it off. Now we're just about done, but did you notice this button? And I'll try to zoom in a bit. Do you notice this button has a picture on it? That's kind of cool, right? How did I do that? Well, let me show you. So I'll go up here to insert, and I'll grab a button, and I'll put it right around here. And then I'll press properties, and I won't change the name, but this thing right here, picture. Now I think BMPs work, JPEGs, those kind of things. Not every type of picture works, so I got to find a BMP or something like that. Let me just sneak in here and work my way down to somewhere where I know I've got some JPEGs or BMPs. There's one right there. Okay, and that's how you add an image to a button. And if you blow it up, you can see it a lot better. Okay, so that's kind of cool, and sometimes you want to make that look a bit more sophisticated. So there you have a sort of a quick introduction to creating a menu-driven notebook, all kinds of little details, not that really hard really, but it makes it look very professional. It takes you farther away from your cells, okay? You don't want anybody touching the raw material of your spreadsheet. Take it farther away, make them have everything through a menu system, and that's sort of the most professional way to access anything in a spreadsheet. Now in the resources for today's lecture, I also have an old question from before, and I'll just pop it up very quickly. A couple lectures ago, I think from lecture 27, there was this spreadsheet where we prompted for total points for these three professors. Okay, and this is just the raw one without the macro in it. Here is the one that has the macro already in it, and what I want you to do is using this particular one, and if you don't remember what the macro looks like, Let me go to Visual Basic. It was called Get Total Points, and it prompted 3 times for these magic total points for these professors' courses. So when they grade their students, they have sort of like a breakdown of all the marks. Anyway, what I'd like you to do on this particular spreadsheet is add a main page to it and make it a bit more formal, in the sense that I want the main page to have buttons which provide access to all the different worksheets. After those 3 buttons, I want another button which activates the key macro, Get Total Points. I also want a button that saves the workbook. And lastly, I want a button on the worksheets that print each worksheet. Okay, so we're not going to take the solution up. It's pretty straightforward, but give that a try sort of as a recap on some of the material we finished off with today. Okay, thanks for listening. Take care. We'll see you in the next lecture.